everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is now episode number 3, Candid Conversations with 2 professional photographers. I'm with Bill from William Russell Photography. So what we do is we pull our tags that we have inside of the bucket over here, just talking about everything wedding related, business related, that has to do with the wedding industry and or business. And these are just our opinions. So our sponsor again is going to be I Do Love a Rental. We're going to talk about them later on. So go ahead, Bill, it's your turn.
All right, give it a whirl here. Okay, street photography and privacy concerns debate and legal and ethical boundaries of street photography. Ah. Okay, that's
we just went to New York, so go ahead, talk about that.
We did. It's a little odd when I was, I've never been to New York City. We went. It's a different type of shooting.
Correct.
I like staying away from people. So.
What were you shooting with?
Oh, geez.
I think most of your shots came from your longer lens.
They did. I had an 85.
Yeah.
Because it started pouring out.
Correct. And I remember that shot that you had with the smoke and the cigar and stuff like that.
Yes.
I did the mistake of going with the 16 because I wanted to get more of the environment.
And I wish I had the 16.
But I was not able to isolate anybody. So when you do street photography, you just need to figure out what you want. What's the purpose? Are you going with the intent of just catching things as they're happening? Wide would be the best way to go.
Right.
If you're looking to isolate things more, 50, 85 would be the better way to go. So it really does just depend on what you want to do.
But you were able to get the motion blur of the vehicles.
Yes.
Where with my 85, I had to stand in Queens to shoot in Times Square.
Yeah.
So you're right. You have to know kind of what or just swap back and forth. But
and don't overpack.
Right.
Because you're walking with a backpack on. And first of all, you don't want somebody to grab the backpack with all of your gear in it and run. One body would be sufficient and 2 lenses. You just swap back and forth for what you want to isolate depending on where you are. It did start to rain that day, but we did have a good 3/4 of the day with no rain. We went to a lot of different places. So
we went 12 miles. We walked 12 miles.
Yeah, I thought it was really fun. I want to do it again.
I thought the rain was good.
It was just enough.
Yes.
Anything more than that, you're thinking about your gear. You're thinking about.
Well, we were
exactly.
At some point. Thank God.
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think I had one of those bags.
You did, and yeah.
All right. So photography trends when it comes to street photography, best advice would be just being able to bring a wide, bring a tight, and figure out what you want to isolate and what you want to photograph.
Right. And
as far as privacy wise, this is something.
Man, it's there is a photographer. I believe he's New York City. He's kind of famous. He gets right in people's faces, and that's not me.
I would not suggest doing that. Yeah.
I wouldn't suggest doing that at all. If you
be
want to
inconspicuous more than anything else.
7200. If you want to do something,
Yeah.
But that's not my deal. I wouldn't do that.
No, I wouldn't do that either. So know your limitations and know your boundaries.
But look how many people had cameras.
Every other person.
Every other person. Yeah. So it didn't really seem to bother anybody. But you don't want to run into that one person that it does bother. Yeah. And then you have issue.
Exactly. So, and don't be so obvious where you're 45 pictures of the same person and you can tell you're staring at the same person. So
you're a creeper. You're a creeper at that point.
Exactly. And I feel like that's the borderline. Like, you're looking at that person, you can tell the camera's pointed at them. It's like, that's awkward for them. Like, because you don't know if the camera's looking at them or it could be looking past them. But that person doesn't know that.
Right.
So, that zoom can go past that person, but somebody looking at it's like, it's going past them, but they don't know that. So my suggestion is be very inconspicuous. Don't be creepy, but just be very inconspicuous about it and just.
And try to get it in focus on the first shot so you don't have to take it.
Yeah, you should be. You should
right.
Be. Yeah, you should be. All right, my turn. Charging for services without experience.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It is a good one. And I feel like we talked about this in the first episode where just because you buy a camera doesn't make you a professional photographer to go out and charge, $500 for a family session when you've never done a family session before.
Right.
Practice with your friends and family first. Get to know your camera. Get to know your settings. Don't make sure that your shutter's not too slow where your pictures are going to end up being blurry. So know your environment, all these different things. Get really, really, really good and then start charging people. Because if you just start charging people right off the bat and you don't get enough experience, you may end up not growing because you're staying in that same vein of what you're doing.
Kind of that same aisle.
Yeah, and don't go thinking you're going to go getting rich off of this.
Nah,
when it comes to this, if you look at it as a hobby and you still got a full-time job, and on the weekends you're going to do a family session for $150, do it. Do 2 families a weekend. There's an extra $300 in your pocket and then edit and then deliver what you're going to deliver. But make sure you're delivering good, high-quality products, so that if they come back, they want to buy a frame from you or they want to buy a print from you, depending on how your deliverables are. You have good quality stuff that they can come back to look at. If you're just like, here's your images, and you can print them up at CVS, Walgreens, or Walmart, they're going to be very disappointed with the results because of the
printing. Go to a reputable printer.
Yes. I
always tell people that. If you need something in a pinch, like, hey, the kid's school needs something tomorrow. Okay, that's fine.
But if this is going to hang on your wall, definitely, and you use a different software than I use, and I've got a different software, and you will start to learn how to build your deliverables and your business from there. But charging, you just got a camera and 3 weeks ago and you did a pretty good shoot with the last family, and all of a sudden you want to charge them $500, you're gonna. You
may get some people that pay it, but then when they get their
results,
product, they're gonna be.
Yeah, I went years and years of just doing photography without charging anybody. I was doing free sessions for people just because never knowing it was going to, turn into what I do now. But I did it for fun. I just wanted to help people. I wanted to bless people. I wanted to just do things for people, and went to the parks and just did that. And then once I got a couple of years into it, I was like, you know what? I can turn around and charge them for something like this. But it took me years to do that. So knowing your level of experience should determine, just because Jojo down the street, who's been doing photography for 5 years, can get $500 for a session, and you're the neighbor and you buy a camera and you think you're going to get $500 for a session, it doesn't work like that.
No more than you go out and buy a paintbrush and oil paint. You're not Bob Ross.
No. And that's the truth of it. That's the truth of it. You might have all the professional capabilities, but the experience level on how to use the product and how to use the stuff, paintbrush or whatever you're doing, you know what? If you've only built one house and I wanted a house built, I wouldn't hire somebody that's only done one house.
Right.
I want somebody that's done 20 houses, 30 houses. I want somebody that, because I'm going to be living in this, I don't want something falling down on my head. And you don't want people disappointed when they get there.
You may get that anomaly that just for some reason they're super talented, like they're just knock it out of the park. There are people out there like that. I know this kid who welds, and it's like a machine welder. Never went to technical. But they're far and few between. Correct. And
if that's not you, then don't think you can charge people that much money to do that. Not discouraging you about going into doing it. Just start off at a lower amount, do 25, 30 sessions like that, and then bump your prices up from there.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Is that me? That was me. Your turn.
Okay. The overuse of filters and presets.
Touch on it again, because I feel we dealt it in episode 2. We talked about sepia.
They're overused.
Next.
No.
Use sparingly. I feel like that is the easiest way, because there's a different preset that comes out every week. This person's got his own preset. This person's got his own. And when we think, here's the fallacy what comes with presets. We could take a picture and that other photographer, professional, fashion show level, creativity, quality, creates this preset, and you buy that and you slap it onto your family session.
It's going to look stupid.
There's a place, there's a time and a place for it. I feel like presets don't make.
You're right.
Bottom line, if the original image is overexposed or underexposed, and you can't fix that, and you got to slap a preset on it, you should not even be taking pictures.
And even these people that make these presets, do you think they use that preset? They don't slap the preset on it and just ship it out. It gets it roughly to what they want it to be.
There's a tweaking process.
So then they tweak it to how they want it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like that's what people do nowadays is slap so-and-so's preset on there.
And what you touched on before, if they're slap their preset on, say, an indoor nice staircase, flowing staircase with a chandelier, and you take that preset and you use it for a family photo, that preset is not going to work.
Correct.
Because the lighting's, everything's different.
Correct. So I learned this in the beginning when I first picked up the camera. I don't even remember who I was following or anything like that. The information was just very vital. What he said was, get it right in camera. If you don't get it right in camera, and it takes you a half an hour to fix it afterwards, you took the image wrong. Get it right in camera. Exposure in the camera, exposure compensation, triangle, the exposure triangle of ISO, shutter, and your aperture. Aperture. Get all those three right in camera. Yeah. When you download that and put it in your Lightroom, it's just a matter of a little bit brighter, a little bit darker, a little bit of contrast, and it's done.
Imagine a half hour on thousands of photos.
Could you imagine that? When I first started out, that's what I was doing. I was overexposing, and you had to fix every single one of them. And you finally I had to learn, like, I look at the back of the camera. If it's too bright or it's too dark, make an adjustment, take another one. And this was like for a family session. Mm-hmm. You can't do that. When you're doing weddings, you can't do that. There's no time for that. And there's times I'll quickly get a shot. I'll have to fix it, but I got the moment that I wanted.
Right.
That is a rare situation. But I don't slap presets on I don't slap anybody else's presets on any of my images when it comes to that. And again, editing software,
we'll talk about it nowadays. It really is. It's a big money maker.
It's about being quicker and faster, and I agree with. I'm all for that. But when that final product goes out, it's not with anybody else's preset or filter.
Now, a side thing on that, which we can touch on later, is sending your stuff out to get edited.
Yep.
You send it. I know people that send them overseas.
Yep.
We can touch on that later.
Well, let's talk about that next time, because I feel like that should be like one whole episode, because of I see the pros and cons.
So is it your work? Well, we can talk about it later.
The answer is yes.
It is.
Because you sent it.
Right.
And you got it back. Depends on what they do to it while it's gone. All right. So my turn or your turn?
Yours, I think.
Mine.
Yeah.
No, I think I just did that.
Did you? I'll take one. You're right.
I don't know. I forgot.
Okay, here we go. Oversaturation of the photography market. Can anyone be a photographer?
Yeah. iPhones and cell phones are ridiculously so good. With just video and cameras, I feel like, yes, it's oversaturated. I've been saying that for 5 years.
You're right.
We photographers are a dime a dozen. We're a dime a dozen.
Yep.
Everybody's got a camera nowadays, and
everybody labels photographer after their name.
Yep.
It's the quality, though.
We talked about that in episode 1.
You can have
the amateur and the professional.
Yeah, the phones have come a long way. Nighttime shooting with phones.
Yep.
It's still not. You'll never get the quality.
And we talked about also that there was a rumor that you were not considered a professional photographer unless you were doing it full time, and I completely disagree with that philosophy. I just agree with that. I feel like the level of what you do and the creativity of what you do and the quality of what you do separates you. I can have a full-time job and still be just as creative as the next guy. That part doesn't separate that. A dime a dozen photographers are. Yes, so how do we separate ourselves from everybody else?
Be different.
That's a great question. That to me, yes.
I'm going to tell you right now, my senior shoots, I'll do traditional. I don't like it.
Because that's what moms want.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I'll be straightforward. I'll do it.
Same thing with weddings. Traditional, line everybody up, girls in this, I'll do it. But I love to get to the creative stuff.
Yeah.
So,
you know.
So what advice would you give somebody now that we feel like photographers are a dime a dozen? And I don't mean that in a bad way.
No.
I don't mean that in a bad way. I just feel like there's just everybody and their brother is a photographer nowadays. You know, and every stay-at-home mom now all of a sudden has picked up a camera, and now they're starting to do
I've had
that
a mom
stuff
use
also.
one of my photos on their website.
Yep.
I had to correct that. They did it not once, twice. And, they have photographer after their name. Yep. So anyways, that got fixed.
And this is not discouraging anybody.
No, but...
Just use your own images, first of all. Don't use anybody else's images. And don't pretend to do something.
Or if you're going to at least tag me tag my photo.
Yeah. That would be... Oh, did we talk about etiquette?
Yes, we did.
First episode? Okay. All right. So yes, photography is a dime a dozen. I feel like there's a lot of us out there. You have to do something separates you from the next person. Okay. For me, I love to do things very, very creatively with rings. For you, you light things on fire.
Light things on fire. I like the weird lighting.
Yeah, you separate yourself in that way, and that's what people, when they're looking at your website, we talked about this last time, the benefits of having a website or your social media. Your website should be the display of your creativity. And if people like it, they're going to hire you. If they don't like it, they're not going to hire you. So not everybody wants that off lighting. Not everybody wants that things being lit on fire. Not everybody cares about what I do with the rings. And that's okay. The ones that want me and the ones that like what I do, they'll find you.
And they're like, you look around, there are crazy good photographers out there. Yeah. Like crazy good all over the place.
All over the place.
All over the world. I look, and it's insane how good some of these people are. Yeah. It's a big bucket of photographers, Ron.
It really is. It really is. And I have no problem with being in the mix of it.
No, not at all.
I feel like I'm doing a really good living the way that I'm doing, and I'm finding work, and people are finding me. Got to do the bridal shows, and you got to do that. So that's how you separate yourself. Yeah. So, all right. Our sponsor for this episode is I Do Love a Rental. Jessica and Karen are the owners of I Do Love a Rental. They got involved with starting this business because they had a hard time finding anything that they can buy or do yourself when it comes to their daughter's wedding. So they ended up having to try and figure out a way, and they were like, hey, you know what? Why don't we just start renting this stuff? So they rent everything. Foosball table, donut wall, pretzel wall, centerpieces, green walls, backgrounds. Anything you need, you can rent from them. Almost everything you need, you can rent from them. Save yourself the time and the hassle of trying to do it yourself. I have all these brides that they're up at midnight the night before their wedding, still trying to put their flowers together and stuff like that. And they're still trying to make their walls, and they're delivering things to the venue because why? Rent it. They either can deliver it for you, or you can pick it up and designate somebody else to do that. So check out I Do Love a Rental. All their information is going to be down below. So check them out. And I want to thank them for sponsoring this episode of Candid Conversations with Two Photographers. The value of photography in an age of smartphone. Pros and cons of cell phones and pros and cons of professional, not even DSLR, mirrorless.
Okay.
Okay. So give me 3 pros to having a cell phone.
It's always on you. It's always on you. Ease of use. You can slide it right in your pocket, and it takes relatively good photos. Those are. It's
literally a point and shoot.
Yeah, it's a mirrorless camera.
It's a mirrorless camera. That's exactly.
People don't. I tell people that, and they're like, "What?" I'm like, "It's basically a mirrorless camera."
Basically, a mirrorless camera.
The cons.
Yeah. Well, give me 3 pros of having a mirrorless camera.
A mirrorless camera. Okay, I think better quality.
100%.
People can debate all you want.
You can debate it all you want.
I don't care.
Again, this is just our opinion.
My opinion, but whatever.
Okay. So number 1.
Versatility. You can add flash.
Very, very
good. You can add flash. There are some things for the smartphone, but it's not.
Can you do off-camera flash with cell phones?
You can. There's some weird.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not good. You're not going to get you're not going to use your off-camera
Who would even bother to try and add?
You know when they do. You know when people do stuff like that. Like if you wanted to take a photo of, say, this.
Yeah.
They have a little off-camera thing.
Okay. All right, so
but whatever. You're not going to be using
versatility and quality.
Yeah, in the quality, you're gonna, and you can slap on how many lenses, right? Well, your smartphone has set lenses.
Good point.
Okay,
3
they have 3. Some have 2.
Yeah.
Okay,
Good point. That's versatility with lenses. Yep.
How many lenses can you throw on your mirrorless camera? A ton.
Yeah. And
can you shoot sports with mirrorless? Or your cell phone?
Yeah, from about 35, 40 feet away.
There you go. I shoot high school sports a lot. I'm not shooting a soccer game with my phone.
Nope.
I see people all the time holding their phone. I'm like, you ain't getting that picture.
And you know when you zoom all the way in, you get really close. Yeah. But that little bit of movement like this, and you can see it in the... So anyway, they have their place with photography and cell phones. They have their place. They are convenient. They're always on you. You can pick it up. The lens does everything for you. Hit the button, and there's your image. That's amazing.
And where can you send it?
Anywhere, right to social media.
Right.
Instantaneously.
Yeah, you can do it with some
you can Bluetooth it back and forth. I don't feel like I've ever used that.
I never have.
I've never have. No. I know it's capable of doing it, but I don't feel
you probably got to shoot
not
JPEG
necessary.
Too.
I don't need to upload something but cell phones can shoot RAW.
Yes. Yeah.
So so does that when it goes up to social media, does it convert it?
I don't know. That's a good question.
It has to. Because the limitations of the social media, they can't open a RAW file.
Right.
So it must convert it to JPEG and then send it out.
Yeah.
Has to. There's no other way. I don't feel like there was any way. No. Correct us if we're wrong.
Video on cell phone. Like mine does 4K 60 log video.
Crazy convenient.
So log. So I can
do all my reels.
Yeah.
Right from there. I even do my still pictures and stuff like that. Create a reel at the end of my night, send it up, bang, there it's done.
Just the fact I can color grade my videos from
There's such a 1-2 punch with photography, mirrorless, and photography convenience of a cell phone. Could I run my business without my cell phone? Yes. But why would I?
Right.
I want to incorporate the capabilities of cell phones with my photography and with my business for the convenience of my social media. I can Bluetooth a picture to my phone, edit it right on my phone, and then send it right to there if I decided to do that. Yes. So the cons, what would be a con?
Compared to a mirrorless?
We're going to do the cons.
Compared to the mirrorless?
What would be the con of using a phone for photography? Forget the mirrorless. We're going to talk about those cons in a second.
See how many weddings you get when you show up with a cell phone.
Well, not even for
anything. If you advertise photography business,
could you imagine like showing up and doing a family session with a
They would look at you like you had 3 heads. They'd be like, "What are you doing?"
But if the person hired them because of their quality, maybe they do a good job afterwards.
I guess. Man, I don't know.
Because you're not using a cell phone, you're not using a gimbal. You're only using a gimbal for video.
Yes.
You don't use a gimbal.
Not for static shots.
For still images. No. Okay. So one drawback I see to cell phone images is when you do zoom in on them, you lose quality. Okay. And there's a little bit more a movement to it. So they're not as sharp as. Okay. The inconvenient or the con, I feel like that would be the number one con for me.
I've seen people do close-up portrait shots with cell phones, and they look pretty damn good.
And they have so many different modes.
They have the lights. They use, constant light wherever, and they're good. But you're set with lenses.
Okay, but you can go into the pro mode. I have an Android. Yep. I can go into the pro mode, and I can change all of my shutter, all of my aperture, and all of my ISO. Yep. So there's creativity that's still there's control. Still,
how big's the sensor on your? It's the size of a pencil eraser.
Good point. Good point.
So you have a full frame, our full frame.
But people don't care about that. They only care about convenience.
Right.
So the convenience is right out of my pocket. I can put it in portrait mode. Now my skin is nice and soft.
Right.
And I've got that beautiful shot that I want right there. Convenient.
Which I'm going to throw a stupid filter on anyways.
So what would be one con for the mirrorless cameras?
It could be the size, portability,
Yeah. When we do a cruise and stuff like that, it's not easy to bring that and an extra lens. So you got to buy an extra bag. Expense, definite expense.
Okay, expense.
Definite expense.
You could, whatever, it depends what you buy.
Correct.
You have to be very careful with those things. You're changing the lenses in and out.
Yeah.
Where a phone, you slap in your pocket, whatever. Yeah. You can drop it.
Yeah.
As long as you have a case, you
ain't dropping a mirrorless.
Drop a mirrorless. See what happens.
So I feel like we covered everything with the mirrorless.
There's way more, but
there's more.
That's general.
I feel like if I can use both for my photography business.
I agree.
But I am only shooting families and weddings with my mirrorless cameras and my Sony cameras, and that's it. I'm not touching. My cell phone is just for behind the scenes. Another convenience of having that for you and I, the behind the scenes of what we do.
Well, the creative content. You can be your creative content person and be the photographer.
I have a hard time doing both.
I do too. I'm still trying to figure that out. But
I can't. I still haven't figured it out. All right. We've done with that subject. All right, let's do one more.
Yeah. Candid versus pose photography.
Oh, this is
I like that one.
Yeah.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
I like candid. I'm just going to say that. Posed is posed. It has its place. It has its place. When we do weddings and you have to get the couple, they stand in the sunset. What I usually do is sometimes I do a combination of both. I say, I want you to walk up to each other and hug each other like you normally would. And unless it's something wacky, most of the time it works because they're natural. They just go into it like they normally would. You start posing people, they feel kind of weird sometimes.
Yes, but they also don't know what they're doing.
True.
So you have to get them close enough to each other in order to do, I don't micromanage the posing.
Right.
Meaning move your fingers just a little bit more, just a little bit more, just a little, that's micro. I don't do that. I say, hold them like you like them, walk up like you haven't seen him in a week. He just came back from a long trip, and that's where I want, click, 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 I got what I want. Now, tell you what, don't move anything, just look right towards me. Now they're in the same pose that you wanted.
Right.
Now I've got my pose shot, and I still got my candid shot.
So different variations of.
It's just finding the balance.
Well, like the other day, I did a silhouette inside of a covered bridge, and the kid had his hands around the girl's waist above her behind, so you couldn't see that arch, the S.
Yep.
So he had to move. I had to have him move his hands, but it's little adjustments like that. That's not that big of a deal.
Right, but it's necessary though.
Yes.
From what you see on your end over here, and compared to what they're doing,
and they don't know. They don't know that's what I'm looking for.
They have no idea.
They don't know that's what
and that's okay. And that's okay. And I feel like I lean more towards the candid, but I'm like I want to say like I'm a 70-30 ratio. 70% candid and 30%. Because they still do want pictures. Moms and dads and parents still want pictures of looking at the camera.
They want the formal.
They want the formal. Yep. We talked about this before, being traditional. I will always start with traditional poses, meaning all the guys on this side, all the girls on this side here, bride and groom right there, everybody looking right at me, click, click, click. Mom's happy, grandma's happy. Now, change it up. You go stand with the person that you walked with, stagger them, arms on your shoulders like this, arms between the legs, between their arms like this, and just have some fun with it. Bang, that's what I love to do with that. So just enough of both. So just enough candid and just enough posed ones.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. You have to throw some candid ones in there. I mean, unless you're that kind of, I don't want to be stiff.
No.
As far as.
No. And they don't want to look stiff.
No. They want to look relaxed.
Yeah. And if you can get them to relax. All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming back to the channel. We appreciate your time. Again, this is Candid Conversations with two photographers. This is just our opinion about things going on in the wedding industry and business-related topics. Don't forget to check out our sponsor, I Do Love a Rental. All their information is going to be down below. So if you guys have any questions or comments, put them down below. If there's a topic you guys want to talk to us about, or want us to talk about, let us know, and we'll put it in the bucket.
Yeah, send us the topic.
Yeah, send us something so it's not us just kind of throwing stuff in there. So, all right, thank you guys very much. Peace.